because it was a journey, and it wasn't just a simple one. It actually started about 5 years ago, but it began in earnest in December 2019, and it finished on Christmas Eve in 2020. We then had 22 owners with their car parks made EV ready. We had our first charging sessions going live, the largest retrofitting of a high-rise apartment building in Australia, the market research that we'd done along the way with our owners. And when we surveyed them about whether they'd consider buying an EV if charging was available in their car park, that elicited about 25% of owners would buy an EV in the next 2 years. It changed their attitude as to the type of vehicle that they would be buying. Being able to charge their car in their lot, not at a common charging station, was really important. When we started back in 2019, we had 2 electric vehicles, and they were only parked here part-time. EVs and EV charging in apartment buildings can be quite an emotive issue. People somehow confuse electric vehicles with climate change, and suddenly it becomes a very emotive issue. But what you're really doing is enabling those people who buy an EV and live in an apartment to have the same capability to charge their car as someone who lives in a single unit dwelling in the suburbs. Now, when we started, we thought this isn't just a simple way, go out, find some hardware, get it installed. But the more we looked at it, we realised we just had to rethink the whole issue. If we discarded the notion that just contact a supplier and have them install a charger, they were going to just push their own hardware down our throat and come up with their solution. Because retrofitting an apartment building is actually quite complex. So secondly, we then shifted our thinking, and we needed to realise that charging an electric vehicle, it was just like charging a mobile phone. What people want to be able to do is come home, plug their car in, get up in the morning, drive out, come home, plug the car in, drive out, come home. That cycle is just like charging your mobile phone. And therefore, you need a solution that enables that to occur. Spent a lot of time trying to solve, how would we manage it? So finally, we reversed the way of thinking about the problem. So we started with a set of principles that should guide our thinking about how you implement an electric vehicle charging strategy. And key amongst those principles were things like we wanted an open architecture, didn't want to lock people into a specific charger. Secondly, we needed to scrupulously apply the benefit principle so that cost recovery was clear to all owners, because one of the emotive subjects is always about who's paying for it. I'm not getting a benefit. They're getting a benefit. Who pays for the electricity? How can we be certain that the electricity is paid for? So once we solved all of those, so we could apply the benefit principle so that cost recovery was clear to people. Those with an EV would be paying the full cost of what they needed, the hardware, the infrastructure that was needed to connect to them, as well as the electricity. But the owners' corporation should pay for those elements that improve the value to all apartments in the building, because now, this is a building where people can advertise their apartment. You've got EV charging capability. You can make your car park EV ready. From that, we developed a strategy. We addressed firstly the legal issues, then the commercial issues, and finally, we found a technical solution that would meet our requirements instead of finding an engineering solution and then trying to ram that into the building. So ultimately, what have we ended up with? We've now got a capability that all 157 owners can make their car park EV ready if they want to. Everybody will be able to have a charge an electric vehicle. Billing is managed remotely, and so we cost recover all the electricity. And we've got a load management solution that means that these vehicles can all be charged, and the building's own infrastructure is similarly managed. Not only do we have 22 owners that have made their car park EV ready, we've got 12 chargers installed. We've now got 8 electric vehicles in the building, up from the 2 that we had 12 months before. We've got an EV charging strategy, and it's been delivered so that anybody be able to get charging into their own car park if they want it. So that was the journey. Getting started is firstly deciding that you think this is an important thing, this is an important issue, this is an important asset that you should bring into the building, and that all owners will benefit from it. Sorting out the question of the benefits, of who benefits and how costs are recovered, overcomes a lot of the inertia. And I think engaging with your community, flagging and having a communication strategy about this is what we're doing, this is what we're thinking of doing, and doing some market research, engaging with people via surveys. So we ran an anonymous surveys that surveyed owners. What were their intentions? How did they feel about it? What were their opinions about electric vehicles? So we flushed out the hot button issues for owners, and then we could address them in a final strategy and then in our policy. So I think that's probably key, working your way through that, not just running out to a supplier and saying, please send equipment. What do you think we should do? Because the supplier will always tell you, buy my equipment.